It's been called an army of thieves and cutthroats.
I had gotten in some trouble back in the States.
A band of hired killers.
I was in the Australian Army and I was kicked out.
But from the burning sands of northern Africa to the jungles of South America, whenever the odds are long and the battle fierce, the French Foreign Legion has been called into action.
I think they are more disposable. They are ready for death.
Persian Gulf, 1991. An Allied coalition unleashes Operation Desert Storm. American forces lead the assault. 100 hours later, the Iraqis are defeated, and Kuwait is liberated. Over 30 nations came together to form the coalition. But one band of soldiers stood apart: the French Foreign Legion. A regiment shrouded in secrecy and littered with mystique. They shouldered a heavy burden: guard the coalition's left flank from counterattack. General Norman Schwarzkopf commanded the Allied coalition.
The Legion did a great job. They had the mobility that was required for that kind of an operation. A lot of people said when we proposed the operation in the first place, if we'd bogged down in the sand or we'd hit the rocks or something like that. They didn't at all. So that was really the ideal role for them.
Few know the Legion still exists. Even fewer have been inside. Since its inception nearly 2 centuries ago, the Legion goes where a legionnaire is most needed. They're part of the regular French army. But no one holding a French passport is allowed to join. Only foreigners can enlist. And once you're in, you may not make it out. The Legion was created as a way to funnel immigrants and criminals out of France and onto the battlefield. An idea as old as war itself. Mercenaries who'll fight for profit, whatever the cost. In a quiet town in the northeastern United States, Thomas Kadish goes about his daily routine. For 2.5 years, he's worked as an auditor for a local oil company. His weapons today are calculators and computers, but they weren't always. Inside, Thomas hides secret memories of times past and battles fought. From 1980 to 1985, Kadish served in the French Foreign Legion. By the time he joined, he'd already spent 4.5 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. When being one of the few and the proud lost its edge, he went looking for something more adventurous.
When I joined the Legion, I didn't know whether or not I'd lived through the 5 years. My goal was to be a mercenary. Life expectancy of a mercenary isn't very high. I figured my life expectancy as a legionnaire would be about the same.
Today, more than 8,000 men from over 130 countries serve in the French Foreign Legion. Chinese, British, Australians, Finns, Americans. Colonel Bouquin is the commander of the Legion's elite 2nd Parachute Regiment.
There's only one difference between the French Foreign Legion and the rest of the French army. It is the fact that we accept foreigners. For everything else, it is almost exactly the same. The same rules, the same equipment, the same weapons, the same vehicles, the same structures, same organization.
With one exception. While French law allows women to serve in the army, the Legion itself won't let them in. General Bernard Grail is the highest-ranking officer in the French Foreign Legion.
For the moment, it is impossible for us to accept women into the Legion, because our training system and our day-to-day life within the Legion just won't allow it. To make this family work and create a cohesive unit from this group of foreigners, we have to place everybody into a big bowl, close the lid, and shake it around. And like they do in other countries, we can't separate the men from the women.
Each man is here by his own choice.
Formation par groupe successif en avant.
Some are on the run. Others seek a challenge. Most crave adventure and hear the calling of the warrior.
If you're going to join an army, you don't want to spend all your time in garrison. You don't want to waste your time training and training and training and never getting a chance to use it. If you join the Legion, more likely than not, you're going to go to combat.
This is where their story begins. Paris, Fort de Nogent, the entry point into the Legion. Millions of men have passed through these gates into a dark and secretive world where only 1 in 12 is accepted. A fierce competition to be one of the chosen few.
It's the only institution of its kind in the world. The only one that gives a man a second chance. Whatever the reason, if the man wants to shed his old skin, leave behind his entire life, he can come to us and start over, be reborn in a way, without a lot of questions about his past.
The point is that when everything is all right for you in your life, you don't get the ID to join the French Foreign Legion. Only people who had some kinds of failure in their life get the ID to join the Legion. That's to say that they had a problem.
Not everyone comes with baggage, but some do. 28-year-old Randolph Clark was rejected by the U.S. military. He discovered the Legion on the internet. 2 months later, he arrived in Paris.
When I was around 18, 19, I had gotten in some trouble back in the States. And kind of sailed around a bit, went to college. I decided that I needed to make something happen.
The Legion offers every recruit a fresh start and a new identity if he chooses.
What languages?
A guy who was speaking in broken English said, wait here, and somebody else came in who spoke English much better and said, why do you want to join the Legion? So I told him why I wanted to join the Legion, and he looked at my passport, and he said, wait here, and about 5 minutes later he came back with a piece of paper with a different name typed on it, and he said, sign this, your name is now Jeffrey Keith.
Under their new name, they sign a 5-year contract that promises a rendezvous with danger. From this moment, a recruit begins a new life, whether he's looking ahead or over his shoulder. If he chooses to shun his past, it won't get through the front gate. Colonel Mishka Yakovlev.
The idea is that, in effect, we'll sign the contract under fake identity.